break way because the devil's trying to break me down.
Oh.
All right.
You want to start it?
Nah, you go for it, bro.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's episode 53 of Stogies N Stuff. We're live. We got a beautiful Sunday morning here. It's what, 8:51 a.m.?
Yeah, it's 8:51 a.m., man.
I'm caffeinated up. Caffeinated up. We got a special guest here with us. Make a little noise, man.
What's going on? What's going on,
SNS fam? Shit, Johnny.
It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
The honor is ours,
Great
bro.
to have you here, brother.
The honor is ours.
Great to have you here,
I'm excited. I'm
excited too, bro. I mean, it's been for those of you guys who don't know, Johnny's been a part of our lives since I was basically born. You know,
that's right.
Even if I am older than him, right? Just fucking with y'all. It's not supposed to make sense, okay? For those of y'all,
you knew fate. You knew fate was gonna.
I just knew it, bro.
Combine our paths.
I just knew it.
That's exactly right, brother. But go ahead, Johnny. Tell people about yourself, man.
So just a little background for those who know and those who don't. So yeah, like Mo said, we grew up together from Hidalgo.
That's right. All Hidalgo here.
Those are our roots.
The great city.
Mike and I basically graduated together.
Yep. Yeah, we did.
So
yes, we did, guys.
Hidalgo making a difference.
That's right. Now we just got to give back. But fast forwarding to our work environment. We had our business, Ronin Media.
Ronin,
right,
that's where it really kicked off, guys.
Right, that's
Ronin Media. For those of you guys who know, you know.
If you know, you know.
That's where we learned all these camera skills. That's how we're able to put this up so fast.
This whole production, huh? I mean, Johnny was part of the process this morning. Now that he's a part of it, Jonathan saw kind of how the system that we have, how we go about check-in, mic check, camera check.
And I will tell you this, guys.
Cup check.
We weren't. Damn. The fuck. Okay.
JK, bro.
Keep it back to
sport term.
Those are when
for those of y'all in sports.
That's when you hit.
It's a joke.
That's when you hit cut on the camera.
I know. Cut that shit. No, I'm just kidding. And anyways, Ronin. Fuck, Mike, you really got me off guard there. But Ronin for us was a do or die movement. Or establishment, meaning we were a group of young men kind of thrown out into the world and said, all right, now what the fuck you gonna do? And it's a good way we won't make a whole topic out of it, but we'll just say it really brought out a whole brotherhood. We're missing one of our brothers, which his name's David, also Hidalgo based, David Ortega.
TBD.
My man Dave, he's over there finishing up some law school, but it's a community we have and a group of brothers, a brotherhood that we've established. You don't necessarily have to be blood to be brothers, but that was something that brought us close. We went through hardships. We all sacrificed together.
That's right.
And we just continue to grow. And this is a relationship that I will continue to basically just appreciate and always be there for these fine gentlemen, as much as I can be. And some skill sets that we learned was how to be true entrepreneurs, because everything was basically whatever you kill or whatever you hunt, you basically eat.
Yeah, that's what you eat.
Eat what you kill, baby.
There was some cool skill sets we learned aside from the entrepreneurship and managing one's own finances and business and LLCs and all this shit. And we had no idea what the fuck we were doing.
We just knew we had to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
But it was learning these camera tactics and these skill sets behind, adjusting lenses and the technical side of things and editing and all this stuff. And you wanted to say something?
Yeah, all I was going to say is from what I can recall, that's literally what it was. You guys took the skills that we had and we said, what can we do with this? I remember we huddled in the loft.
Yeah.
We huddled in the loft. It was like
what
nighttime.
What the fuck are we going to do?
And we said, what's next?
Survive.
And I don't remember... how did the Ronin name come about? Do you remember?
So that's when we were in your dining table. You remember that? We're thinking of a name and it was just based off that same idea, right? How a Ronin is a rogue samurai, right?
That's right. Yep. A masterless samurai.
Right. And at the same time, I mean, we thought it fit, right? Yeah. We all strive to be independent, right? I mean, and that's exactly why we do what we do now, right? We try to we try to do things on our own, and we, at some level we have a problem with authority, right? People trying to
that's what
tell
it
us
was.
what to do.
Yeah.
So we decided to do our own thing.
Almost contrarian.
You want to know
aspects
something
of
though?
it.
Right.
What was so funny? Like,
Well, bust it out, Mo.
well, like when
Wait.
Whoa.
not that. Don't worry, man. I'm not gonna get you excited. But I'm gonna share something up on a screen. So you guys are talking about Ronin, and it just made me think about the very first time we attempted to do something of a podcast. Look at this shit.
Oh,
Let me start this shit from the beginning.
What we do is go back.
All right, this is Business with Ronin. I'm Mauricio. Ronin's business. Oh shit.
What we do here, let's go back.
The sword.
Okay, so this is Ronin's business. I'm Mauricio. I'm Michael Saldana. I'm Jonathan.
I'm David. We're your hosts for today, and we're going to
What's wrong with you, What's wrong with you, Dave?
Why you sad, bro?
Tie things into business. So let's jump right in.
That was a neat
Why don't we
idea.
start with the event of today. It is Friday, the 21st. Two things happening today: iPhone and Eevee.
Damn, look at that iPhone, bro.
Dude,
What was
what
that,
the
like
fuck?
6?
That was the 6,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, guys, that was 6 years ago. Apparently, we've been thinking about this for a good 6 years before we finally took some action about 2 years ago. And I know Dave and Johnny were a little occupied with their ventures, and finally, we're kind of bringing this back. But this is where it all started.
A long time coming.
Our media ventures came from Ronin Media. And I'll tell you this, it has been one of the most expensive, what was a profession, now turned into a hobby, and now it's turning into selfless acts of breaking down agendas,
Fuck yeah.
But it's fucking expensive. But does podcasting really have to be expensive? That's what, we'll kind of touch basis with you on budgets and influences and the power behind media nowadays,
It's all about the quality you want to get at.
Here, let me interrupt.
Go ahead, interrupt, brother.
Let me just. What the fuck's up with my hair in that video?
What do you mean? You look sexy, bro.
Bro, did Adrian do that?
No, I'm not sure.
He's like, I can't
yeah.
can't recollect.
I was about to say, Adrian, what the fuck?
Obviously, the barber kind of takes your word, you know what I mean, in terms of what you want. But I didn't know what the
Think
fuck
you
I
look good,
wanted.
bro.
at
We
the
go.
time.
Taper here and
still
leave
here
it like
the
that
bottom
there.
looks good. It's just the top. Yeah, it's just,
Johnny, it's just the top.
yeah.
You know what, bro? We all look very different, kind of. I don't know. Mike, man, bro, everybody, I will say this. Everyone there was a lot thinner.
Yeah,
But-
absolutely.
Bitch, what were you going to say about me?
You too, bro.
Mike, man, you were
He's gonna single you out.
I
No,
know.
bro, like, we just all look different. What happened to that cap, man? I still want
I have
that.
one.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
that? It's there at the house.
Yeah.
That's
Same
cool.
cap.
We got to bring it back, bro. We're going to start bringing it here.
Yeah.
And
And
just
you know what it
leaving
can be now? We can get some of those, but we can get SNS.
SNS. There you go.
SNS. We'll do that.
Stogies N Stuff.
Oh, man. I love the
That's
branding.
exciting shit. But guys, all this comes about podcasting.
What is it?
What is it? Podcasting is storytelling. No, I'm kidding. No, but really what podcasting is, it's transform. And so when you break down the term, what is it? And obviously we went into this whole background because it's what led us to here, guys. I'm looking over here like the camera's here, bro.
So,
It's over there. What is this? Now, guys, what this is it's a, I don't even know how to fucking pronounce this. It's a portmanteau, linguistic blend. And the idea is it comes from iPod and broadcast.
okay, I was gonna bring us something, bro, because I saw that Mike shared a briefing, right?
Yeah, let's leave it
And
at that.
before we get into it and share, it says the term podcast is a, what did you say that word is? Portmanteau.
Portmanteau, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hold on, I need to check.
A linguistic blend of iPod and broadcast, reflecting its initial association with Apple's Portmanteau. With Apple's revolutionary portable media player, despite predating Apple's formal support of the format. Whatever. Anyways, podcasting. But you know what came into mind, and you guys were the inspiration behind all of this. And you know what? You won't see this anymore.
You won't see that type of iPod anymore. That type of humor anymore.
That's just iPod.
What the fuck?
You know what they say, guys? You never go full retard. Just
Hear that word again. You're talking about a person, a human being.
Come here, son. He may be a
Moronic.
What the fuck?
Writing, women rich as simpleton, but he is not a retard.
Simpleton.
If there's one thing I do not tolerate, that's disrespect.
All right, that's enough.
All right,
man.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah.
Oh man, but still, sorry guys, you don't see shit like
For
that
those who
anymore.
don't know, that's a parody of radio.
And
Yeah.
radio, ladies and
Vinny
gents.
Jr.
Yeah, guys. So it's intended to be taken that way, all right?
Yes, don't take it too
not
serious.
taking
All right,
shit out
lighten
of
up,
context.
man. You're gonna try to cancel us again. That's just after
Right.
episode 1. Chill,
Yeah,
guys.
and guys, going back to the definition, origin, the history, the term wasn't initially coined as podcast. Before it was just a recorded video,
Audio
almost like a
blogging.
web blog, audio vlogging, and it came about in early 2000. So what they would do in October of 2000, it was these couple guys, Tristan Lewis, and Dave Weiner. And it started off as RSS feeds. So an RSS feed, what that is it's a
really simple syndicate.
that's right, really simple syndication. And all it is it's an online file that automatically delivers updates. But before it became that, it was just uploaded on a website and maybe eventually people will check out the video. There was no updates, you know how you get that little notification sent to you? That's what RSS is now. So you get YouTube, a new video uploaded. That's the whole idea of RSS feed. But before it wasn't that. So this guy, Dave Weiner, in 2003, created the RSS idea, created this push notification sort of idea behind the video. And once that happened in 2004, nobody had coined that yet. They were just like, well, look, I want to coin this. This guy called Ben, his name is Ben Hammersley, a British journalist, part of The Guardian. In 2004, about 6 months later, what is that? October, November, December, January, February. About 5 months later, said, I'm going to call this podcasting. Now what is it? Podcasting.
Yeah, and so before, there's those news outlets, right? And that's where they had the term broadcasting, right? And unless you had the huge funds from these companies, right? These big companies that would invest money into these news media outlets, right? That's really the only way you'd kind of get information, right? Whether it's audio, visual, right? But then these guys, it's a very innovative approach that they took, right? Because obviously now it's changed the game, but at that time, it was they were onto something.
They were, man. And one thing, while you guys were talking about, I was looking about how obviously we all have Apple products here, right? And believe it or not, Apple played a huge and critical role for the pivot point, or as a pivot point for podcasting. So, you had formal support for podcasts. I think it all came back. It all came down when iTunes 4.9 was basically established. This integration made podcasts significantly more accessible to the average consumers. And once people were able to download that program and transfer podcast content to mobile devices, that's when it basically blew up. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I think that's when YouTube officially took over and said, all right, basically upload your podcast here and you'll see that's initially what we do up to date. We upload our videos on YouTube. I know Spotify is starting to really push out for you uploading even video podcast into their platform as well.
From us.
Interesting, yeah.
Which is really cool. It doesn't just have to be audio. You can actually have videos on your Spotify. And I don't know about you guys. I know you guys are Apple users, but what do you use more for streaming? Do you guys use Spotify, or you guys still using more
I use
Apple?
Spotify.
Well, I actually just use YouTube, and I guess that's a good point, right? Because when you say the term podcast,
What pops up?
Yeah, well, a lot of times, like for example, what would pop up is the audio visual podcast form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Format. Like that's what I think about, right? I hear the people talking and then I see them on the screen. But initially, podcasting was literally just audio, right? You listen to it on your drives, right? And that's really the time when you consume that type of content.
Yeah.
But that's changed now.
All right.
Yeah, because a lot of it, now that we understand the coining of the term, and I think you were already touching on it. It's like, why did it become so popular? And I think a lot of people were saying, well, you know what? It's not just big media that can do this.
Right.
It's like, I'm going to do this in my own hands too, because the idea that now big media has become legacy media.
Right.
And it's this whole idea that there's a propaganda. You know, you're being led, the sheeple are being told what to think, rather than journalism as to what it should be is informative, and then you form a conclusion.
Right.
Now it's conclusion based. It's propaganda because it's think this, then do this. Not this is what's been done, what do you think? Right? So I sort of think that the idea
Well, I pulled
of
up
that
this.
was that.
Yeah, I pulled up So according to
Stats.
research conducted by the Pew Research Center in 2023, obviously a lot of things have changed. We're in 2025, but still a very valuable
Yeah, it's a
resource to have.
right.
Good citing. People listen to podcasts for several key reasons. You know, you got learning and education, entertainment, background content, diverse perspectives, current events, inspiration and encouragement, right? So let's look at the age brackets though. You know, so already you have for entertainment, you have different age brackets, 18 through 29, 30 to 49, 50 to 64, and 65 plus. For entertainment, this was the results that came back.
Wow, it's a literal
75% in this age group, right? To learn, and this is kind of, we see it a little bit more balanced out. Everybody, and for the most part, was fairly equal. Hey, I'm going to be listening to this to learn some kind of new skill or I don't know, just, I mean, that's what you initially learn for, new
Right.
skill sets. And then to have something to listen while doing something else, maybe while driving, I don't know, just working. I know sometimes occasionally also while I'm doing some work, focus work, I'll just have it there.
It's background noise.
Yeah, background noise as I'm working on something
Oh, you
else.
don't look sound or you don't feel crazy.
Spot
Yeah.
on.
Inside.
To
That's
hear
exactly
to
right.
hear other people's opinions, you know, this I don't see this. I'm not surprised by low percentage as far as why this came back low for all age groups, because when do you ever really want to hear somebody else's other opinion as opposed to reconfirming what you already think of a specific topic?
Yeah,
You know what I
confirmation
mean?
bias versus
Yeah, Democrats are going to listen to Democrats. Republicans are going to listen to Republicans. Sorry, I had to make it political. It is what it is. Anyways, but
Unfortunately.
very rarely you're going to say, let me go ahead and take into a Democrat's perspective. Unless you're that mature.
Absolutely, and I think now just a 2-year span. I'm assuming that those stats are higher now to
Oh,
hear
yeah,
other
it's
people's
probably
opinions.
changed because this is
Yeah.
2023, but we
yeah.
could kind of probably see where things were going. I'd
Right.
love to find one at 2025.
Yeah.
especially with
2024.
with the presidential run.
That
I think
was-
that's what really put podcasts, I want to say, on the global forum.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Right.
I mean, everybody. Let's be real. Everybody tunes into the elections for United States of America. We run the global economy.
Yeah.
The global economy consists
Well,
of the global.
we talked about it in our last podcast. We
Yeah.
are the ultimate consumer.
Guys, do you understand this? Quick facts for y'all. The USA's overall GDP is $27 trillion. $27
Crazy,
trillion.
guys. People
So
get
when you-
rich off of us. Okay,
So
Right.
Jesse, go to link it. Link it. Well, actually, we'll link it and
we'll get the resource and we'll put it on
But
YouTube.
we're
and
gonna
all
quote
that.
ourselves. We fucking run this shit.
Episode 52.
Episode 52. We
break
run
it
this
down.
shit. All right, guys. Of that 27 million GDP, the United States has a consumer GDP of 20 trillion.
It's crazy.
Oh, 27 trillion, sorry. We have 20 trillion of that.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? We run this show.
That's right.
We have the ultimate consumer, and we talked about that in our last episode.
That's right.
So I digress, but for purpose. The reason being is that this is a good stat to go from, and it's a good starting point, and we're not aware of one that's more current. So if you find one, please enlighten us. But I think it's great because it showed the curve already, because majority of the voters that went out were younger voters.
That's right.
So look, we were already in tune with that. If you go back, it's color-coded. Go up. The green and the blue is more of our age group.
That's
from
right. These
18
two.
to 49. So you see that it's obviously higher with that age group. Tuning in for entertainment and to have something to listen to
Right.
while doing something else.
Yep.
So who are all those people? You got the Joe Rogan.
Well, let me bring that up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
bring
yeah.
up a little map. Okay, this is it. This is what we're basically talking about right here. So I don't know who this gentleman is, but
But he's on something.
He on to something. Well, this guy, I could tell is a Democrat, man. You little bitch. Sorry. Again, it came out. My bad. It says, what do you see here? It's clearest illustration why things are so messed up and why it cannot get any better until this asymmetry is addressed. Put simply, right wing has narrative dominance. Yeah, because the fucking...
we just make sense.
Because fake news wasn't taken over for the longest time. He's not necessarily... In my opinion, if I had to address his comment, I'd be like, well, you know what? This came about because we basically said, enough of this fake-ass news on here. It's time we really go ahead and share some real news with some real viewers where it's not necessarily being paid. Obviously, now they're getting paid big bucks, but we started at zero just like us.
Right.
We ain't getting paid for any of this shit. We said, you know what? Let's take on that social responsibility, that obligation that has been given to us to go ahead and educate our people. So,
right. and I mean, I appreciate this post or this tweet. I don't appreciate the perspective, right? Because right. I mean, like, yeah, he's seeing it from a very
divisive,
right? Yeah, divisive standpoint. But the way I see it is, you know, these people are only famous because of the listeners or the viewers, right? That's the only way you're gonna get this type of market share. I mean, look at Joe Rogan, 39.9 million views.
I hope everybody knows who Joe Rogan is.
Right. So it's
wrong one. Sorry. That's not him.
Whether you decide to see or to view his content to criticize or, you know, to learn from him and from the guests that he has on. You know,
I mean, what can you say about Joe Rogan, brother?
He's authentic,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has
what about? I know you guys. Do you watch him a lot?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I watch him every day.
Mike watches him like crazy. I don't watch him too much, but every now and then I will.
So what I like about his content is that he brings in all types of guests, right? Whether they're in the political standpoint, whether they're like Republican or Democrats, right?
Like this guy.
My man, Antonio Brown is.
He's crashed out.
Yeah, he's you know, he's going through a lot of shit.
What is he wearing? Like
it's a crash out helmet. He got that from where'd he get that from, Johnny?
Tropical Thunder or Tropic Thunder, right?
Tropical Thunder.
Sorry, bro.
Tropical Thunder.
I was too correct.
That's Robert Downey Jr.'s prop.
Which that's another great.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's another great movie that you won't ever see nowadays.
Yeah, because of the
That's a theme song from the Jeffersons.
Right. The gender
when you're in position.
But
of course, yeah, but that is another.
Sorry.
But really quick, just to kind of take it back to the reason why we decided to, you know, make this a topic about podcasts.
It's because it's so diverse, bro.
Right? And it just I appreciate, you know, how you guys started this and why you started it. Right? The reason why you started this because. You know, that's why a lot of people kind of, especially conservatives, are doing what they're doing, right? Because you have other people trying to, you know, to criticize what people are trying to do at this time. And what I mean by that is that, you know, for example, Trump's statement, I mean, make America great again.
Yeah.
You know, people are trying to bring him down. It's like, why are you trying to bring him down if, you know, all he's trying to do is bring or put America first?
Yeah, man, exactly. And so when I appreciate podcasts in general just as much as you do, because one, there's just so many different types of podcasters out there, right? Everybody manages their channel in their own way. So initially they're staying true to whatever value they feel they can contribute to society. Because in my perspective, any podcast is basically you taking up some form of social responsibility. Now, whether or not you're actually responsible with the message you're pushing out, that's debatable. I completely agree with that. Not everybody is giving out true value. A lot of times it's manipulation. But if you can say that I'm doing my best to be ethical and you always have an open mind and say, you know what, I'm okay with being wrong too, but show me the facts. And that's one of the things we do constantly here with our podcast is saying, look, guys, you guys are entitled to your opinion. This is just the way we feel about the topic we're talking about. And here are our reasons. What are yours? We'll be open-minded towards the basically the topic points or any points that you want to bring up, as long as you also have citations for it. Because in my opinion, with Joe Rogan, I always do feel like I'm learning something new, which is what we were talking about on the statistics side of things.
Right.
As far as why people will watch his shit, which is to learn, right? And then, I mean, basically, he's the king of long-form conversation.
Yeah, and what's interesting about him is you kind of get everything.
Everything.
You get the entertainment.
Right.
You get the learning. You get the just something to listen to in the background because of how long these episodes usually are. Because like for instance, this one. I mean, Antonio Brown definitely has some insight to give in terms of professional sports. He lived it. He was a Hall of Famer. Yep. He is a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he is already, but he's going to be if not.
You can't take that away from him. His numbers
Super
are
Bowl
still
winner, 2-time Super Bowl winner. Wait, yeah, he won a Super Bowl with Brady, right? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
And
I mean, he might have
Big
stormed
Ben.
out during one of the games, but
yeah, no shit. He had a
posted
iconic
all that.
walk off,
He
take
was-
off his jersey
yeah,
and
he was still
everything.
part
and
of the
posted
team.
everything about his ex-wife. You know,
That's since he the crash out. That's been that crash out since. But the idea is that you got to understand that you're not going to get the same informative from each episode of this guy. And like to say with our podcast, some of them we do just for entertainment. Some of them we're like, you know what? We want to see what's up with y'all and go through what we think current events are through cruising through X.
That's what
like
we labeled
pointed
it, cruising through X.
And then this is one of those where we're trying to be a little informative to you all about what podcasts are or what they should be. Because the idea behind podcasts is, well, what the fuck you listen to it for? Right?
There's gotta
Like,
be a
why are
reason.
you doing it?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's those sayings, right? I'm sure y'all have heard of them, but it's like, tell me who you are, and I'll or tell me who you hang out with, and I'll tell you who you are, right?
That's basically it.
And in this case, it's tell me what you listen to, and I'll tell you who
what
you
you're
are.
basically about.
Exactly.
Yep.
A lot of it comes down to the.
I know Johnny likes this guy.
Yeah, Patrick McDavid
Patrick
every
McDavid.
morning. or
PBD. You know
Yeah.
what? I have a lot of respect for that guy too, bro.
Yeah,
A lot. I
so-
think he just carries himself so well, man.
Right, and a lot of the times you have to. I mean, do your research in terms of who you're going to listen to.
And he's
right.
very informative, dude. He was one of the first guys that I know took initiative to break down what tariffs were,
Right.
and why they would benefit the country. You know, because a lot of people would, and I think the background he has was he was involved in finance,
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
I think
trading.
you know what? I
Wall
think
Street.
even
A broker?
MLM.
Yeah.
I think even MLM. I had read somewhere that he was involved in multi-level marketing too. at one
Right.
point.
So yeah, and he did some of that. He was in Wall Street. I think this was early on.
And he lives in Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this was
right?
like 20 yeah, the
I love
early
his-
2000s.
I love his channel, bro. I know, Mike shared a video not too long ago about Gary Brecka, which if you guys
right.
don't know Gary Brecka, this guy's like,
biologist.
yeah, this guy will break down your health
Right.
without even
He
trying
used to
anymore.
work for a life insurance company.
Yeah, yes, I believe that's currently what he's doing.
And then you got some more influencers you can't take away his influence. He's on the map. Ben Shapiro.
But if you had to sum up PBD, bro, what would you say?
just they're raw, right? I like their podcast because they're raw. I mean, he has some really good hosts on there
Did
as
you
well.
watch Andrew
Co-hosts.
Tate or no?
Yeah,
So
I
that's
love that one.
that's a growing trend then.
Right.
What we naturally can acknowledge and appreciate the raw aspect.
Right.
Joe Rogan, raw.
Authentic.
PBD, raw. And nowadays raw equals what? Authentic.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And and just to tie it all up, it's doing your research, right? It's who are you listening to, right? It's who are these guys? What are they about, right? And these guys, I mean, the ones that have a strong following, I mean, they've done really well in their businesses and decided to, like share their opinions, whether it's work ethic or politics, right? And like I said, that's why I appreciate what you guys are doing, because at this point in time, I mean, you guys are successful, if not becoming more successful, right? And that's what that's what I'm saying. Like, I just appreciate what you guys are doing. But going back to that phrase, tell me what you listen to, and I'll tell you who you are, or you are what you consume, right? Basically,
and apparently,
yeah. But the idea is that you have to do your research on what you're consuming or listening to, right? It's kind of like reading when you're trying to decide a book to read, right? Yeah. You can't just pick up any book and then decide to go through it all.
Exactly.
You have to see who the author is, what they've accomplished, and then if they have credibility, and then decide to.
That's a really good point.
Right.
Now that you get into that, I mean, the idea behind, well, who do I even listen to?
Right.
It's funny because I was telling Jonathan the other day that the way I evaluate, like just the way without giving any real methodology to it. Just like if I had to off the top of my head, is I say, well, how long have they been at this? Like, I like to see how many videos do they have?
Right.
And go back to the Joe Rogan, Marty, real quick page.
All right,
Go to his main page. He's got 3.3K videos. And
That's
then if
a
you
lot of
see
fucking
that,
videos.
5 years ago, he had a 10 years in review. So he's been at this for about at least 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? I'm like, oh shit. Like, let's even rewind this to 5 years ago. He would have been at it 10 years already.
Yeah.
So I would have been like, all right, you know what? I want to check this guy out because, you know, it's an experience, as Joe Rogan experience. Let me see what he's all about. Go to the Patrick Bet David page, please.
Look at Patrick Bet David, bro.
3.1K videos. He's probably been at this, you know, maybe about the same.
time.
Yeah. And then let's go even to the Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro, guys. Now, we don't always align with his views, but he's influential nonetheless.
8.1K videos. Like, these guys did not start off this way.
Tucker
These guys,
Carlson, bro. Let me throw him
Tucker
in there,
Carlson.
bro.
974
Well, this
videos.
guy's an exception.
But he was already at it
Yeah,
on
yes.
Fox.
He was
He
on-
had his own
on
fucking
news,
big
right.
show and everything.
Yeah,
News media.
he's what?
Like
he left
Fox
in
with Tucker
2023?
or something like that.
Yeah, I think he left 2023.
Or the Tucker
and
Carlson show.
They let him
Right.
go, and he launched his own podcast, bro. Focus on
He's
political
fucking
news.
killing
and
it.
He's giving controversy debates, and you know he's been getting more and more people to show up. And I think what he had, Mr. Kumo
Yeah, Chris Kumo.
on there.
yeah.
Just
Yeah, and they were at it for a while.
That's
They
the-
were, bro. They had different views as
I
far
actually
as
liked one that Chris Kumo got him where he called him out.
which part.
There was a part where Tucker Carlson was talking about this senator that was trying to block or prevent or actually get released. I don't remember, but I think was trying to block the release of certain files, something like that. I think it might have been the JFK or something like that. And Tucker Carlson was aware who it is, right? And whatever. And then Chris Kumo goes, well, why haven't you reported that? If you know who
Oh,
it is,
right.
you know, why
He's like,
haven't
"Oh,"
you?
He's like, I just got
So
you.
he's
let him
stumped
out
him,
yet.
right, yeah.
And then Tucker Carlson goes, that's a good point. I mean, because I haven't had an opportunity to interview him or
Right.
whatever. Chris Kumo goes, no. Like, if you're true about what you're saying and the people should know.
If your channel is about
and then you
this,
know what?
then you need to be
Tucker
about
calls
it.
him out. He name drops him. I
Really?
don't remember who it was, but it was a senator. And he does it right when Chris Kumo calls him out. And Chris is like, you see? There we go.
There we go now. I just helped
and,
you.
and fucking Tucker was like, yeah, I guess like you got me. Like
Watch these guys join up
acknowledged
some
it.
more, man.
But that's the attitude. What would a Democrat do? No, I told you. No, I don't.
Well, that's
they would
why-
fucking burst out.
That is
Right.
why
Just
when
yelling.
when I saw that episode, because I only went through it briefly, right? And I'd watch some of the highlights that people were sharing from their debate. But what I appreciated about their debate is they did it very in a mature fashion.
Yeah.
And they weren't just yelling at each other, although we could tell that they didn't necessarily agree eye to eye. They respected each other's points.
Yes.
You know, and I was like, finally, like, this is an actual conversation that this is what it should be. It's okay to have different points of views, but just bring about your own case.
Yeah.
you know?
And
Be
what
open
what
to
I
it.
love about this is now there's a movement towards Democrats doing this.
Yeah. Right. And
It's changing them.
so
Johnny's got a good take on that.
So I know recently Michelle Obama decided to
Let me see. Let me bring her. Let me find
Let's
her.
see if you
bro.
can even find it, bro.
come up with their own
just kidding.
podcast.
Miss Michelle
And
Obama.
we'll get into this a little bit more.
I think it's like her and her brother Craig or something like that. Like I don't remember what the name of it is. I think it's like.
Hey, yo,
Did you
Craig.
put Michael? And
No, bro.
oh, in my opinion or whatever.
Did they already started already? Yeah.
Like the crisis center would require an emergency session.
Oh my
like
God.
somebody's on a train.
Yeah,
Right.
flying.
You know, there's movement, and you
Yeah,
don't want to
buddy,
deal with
on
a crisis. Yeah, I was like, we're coming. It's a crisis.
So who's she talking
My
to?
friend's dog died.
Oh,
We
wait,
were
that's somebody
all
else.
There
That's
at
a-
the house,
that's an
bringing her
actress.
favorite
What's her
snack.
name?
Like this is.
Issa Rae.
So this one was done 4 days ago.
So her page is actually called Michelle Obama, but it's IMO,
Right. In my opinion.
right?
Yeah. So it's her and her
oh, you're
brother.
talking about this gentleman right here, Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're
A lot of
the
people have
hosts.
questions They
Okay.
want to know, especially when they see somebody.
And I mean, there's a lot of speculation as to why they started to do this, but really quick, I wanna kind of bring it back into the barrier of entry, right? How basically anybody nowadays can start a podcast.
I agree.
Right. Before when when it was actually broadcasting, right? For example, Tucker Carlson, right? He was in the news media. He was an anchor, and that's the only way he can speak about certain points, right? But now, since he left, or since it's either he left or he was kicked out, however you want to see it. So he decided to just create his own podcast, and now he can literally talk about anything he wants. Whatever topic he wants to talk about, he can talk about.
It's like a rite of passage,
right? It's really similar to what you guys are doing, right? You decided to invest into it yourselves.
That's
right?
right.
And then you can speak about anything you want to speak
there's
about.
There's low barriers to entry now.
Right, but there's a double-edged sword when it comes to that. Anybody can just fucking get in front of a camera and talk shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So that's the downside into listening to all kinds of people. That's why you really have to do your research.
And that's when we go back to the whole point that I was trying to make, as far as technically speaking, it's a social responsibility, but that doesn't necessarily mean everybody's being responsible with their voice.
Yes.
That's when, and again, I think that whole, and I'm going to tie it into what you're bringing up. One politician that really stood out to Mike and I during the election period, and who I guess the main Republican candidate was going to be, was Vivek Ramaswamy, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why was because one of the biggest things he kept bringing up was that the minority were basically being very irresponsible with their voice. But the majority finally said, "Hey, enough of this bullshit. Like, you're screaming, you're pouting, you're making all this noise, but that's not actually what our values are."
Like a baby.
Yeah, we just say, you know what, enough of this shit. And that's initially what we saw with the elections.
Right.
We saw real conservatives say, you know what, I'm done with this bullshit. It's about time we took action to our hands and said, but
that's right.
That's a potential, or that's how I believe social media was being run for the longest time. Anybody with a voice, whether right or wrong, was just making so much noise, taking influence and making it seem like, oh, okay, this is right.
And like everything, an idea starts with good intentions. Typically, I don't want to say everything, but generally an idea starts with good intentions. And you can say this was sort of an attempt, and this being podcasting, to democratize media. It was an attempt to, let's get a different perspective. Let's see what you have to offer. Maybe even bring in real journalism back and get some people investigating, like Candace Owens style.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Right. But, the problem is legacy media sort of made that happen because it turned more from informative to propaganda.
Right.
And just like everything, unfortunately, that sort of stuff happens. But the market, being a capitalistic market, adjusts, and this is part of that phase. It's a growing phase again.
Right, and a lot of big podcast stars and even politicians that come out on these shows, they were doing the breakdown as to why did Trump win this election, and a lot of it goes to that, right? The views that each party was spreading and the platforms that they had.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it was because the Democrats, they just didn't have a strong position, right? They're trying to become president because of X reasons, right? They were just all over the place. When Trump's phrase was very simple, right? Put America first, or make America great.
Make
again.
America great again.
And that was a key takeaway. But not only that, going back to that chart, at the time, Republicans already had so much market share that, and spreading that message on all these channels, the right people heard it.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of us citizens. And, we just decided to, vote for him.
Yes. I mean, authenticity. Raw equals authentic. You want to know why? Because there's no fucking script.
Right.
It's just, fence with me. And that actually dovetails into the Gavin Newsom podcast episode. You could say, well, what's that called? It's starts with a P, not premiere, but when your first episode drops, a pilot.
The pilot, yeah.
With Charlie Kirk.
Yeah,
that was bold. That was bold of him to do, and I see why he did it.
Yeah, because Charlie Kirk's been doing it since early 2010.
Yeah, I'm sure he's on that map. Go back to that map, Mo.
He's just been debating at what universities and stuff.
Here it is.
Where's Charlie Kirk?
Right there on the top left.
Yeah, look at that
Mr.
shit.
Charlie Kirk. What is his channel about?
Debates.
It's a lot of debates. He'll go to college. He
Oh,
pulls like
yes.
a Ben
No, I know
Shapiro.
who it is.
He
He's
goes to
good.
college
He's good.
campuses. He does a lot of
quick.
debating.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's quick, guys. He was actually homeschooled.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was homeschooled. I hope I'm not getting that wrong. Right. But my understanding from what I believe is he was homeschooled. And this idea is that he gets on a show with Gavin Newsom. And I actually commend Gavin Newsom for doing that because he's not an experienced podcaster.
Right,
He's a typical left-wing Dem. Reading off of it. And in that podcast, they actually talk about Gavin Newsom's curious, you can tell, and he tells Charlie Kirk, what is it that's so masculine about podcasting? And Charlie Kirk says it's fencing. It's the idea that you go raw, unscripted, and you get in there and you have an intellectual conversation or battle, debate about topics, and you're just able to think on the fly. And that the idea is that's masculine because you're not having to rely on a script or having to rely on buffer and like, wait, no, give me a second. It's like, let's go at it. Let's see what you can do. Let's see how you can battle this intellectually.
Yeah, and going back to that, so the Democrats noticed that, right? They noticed after, huddling up after the Trump's win, they huddled up and they're seeing, you know what, we're lacking in this realm of podcasts, right?
Yeah.
These Republicans have the market share.
Oh,
so now we got to compete, and that's one of the reasons why we think Michelle's doing what she's doing, right? Because it could be, she might make a run for presidential election.
They're teeing it up already.
I know Stephen A. Smith is kind of doing the same.
Yeah, that came out in Bill Maher, I think, right?
Bill Maher,
where they brought up like that they're thinking he's going to run, and Stephen A. Smith shot that down real quick.
Well,
but obviously,
surprisingly enough, guys, it's and there's some stats to back this up, but educational content has basically emerged as the podcasting's most popular genre, meaning it's passing sports, it's passing just news, politics, tech. It's more on the educational side of things, right? And so it's being able to communicate that complex information to all audiences. That's why it's been so popular. And you know what? I'm bringing this up, and I'm sharing this on my screen now, Jesse, so bring this up. There's an interesting, I guess, site that I came across, and it's talking about how Hispanic Americans, which, hey, we're all Hispanic right here, right, will continue to be the fastest growing podcast audience.
Oh,
right. We played a huge part. Hispanic listeners represent the fastest growing demographic, expanding 3 times faster than the general population. So people like you, our audience, for the most part, we probably just have mostly Hispanic, because guess what? We're from Hidalgo County, and you know what a historical fact was, I can't remember since the last year, but our counties went fucking red.
Yes, since over 100 years.
Yes, that, and you know what? I don't see there being a coincidence where, okay, let's look at this map again. This guy, as much as I agree with him,
what you're doing, the connection.
Yes, that's right. Look at this influence, right? But it's educational. And the thing is, it's not like we're stupid, guys. We can go ahead and make the effort, the attempt to see, okay, what they're preaching, does it actually make sense? Because again, we've taken social responsibility here with our podcast to break down agendas. We don't always agree with a lot of the people that are on here, but we're able to go ahead and read between the fine lines.
I mean, this chart's from a leftist.
Exactly, from a leftist. And so this is a beautiful thing to see meaning, hey, Latinos are waking up, Hispanics specifically.
Literally, because think about that. The connection you made real quick is just Hispanics were fucking over 95% of the population down here is Hispanic. You listen to the podcast, majority of the podcasts are right. It was an effective job.
And we're spending 35%. You see that number right there?
Yeah, more time on podcasts.
Latinos spend 35% more time on podcasts than the average U.S. listener.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think it's because our demographic is increasing, or is it because the current demographic is just deciding to shift to this?
Maybe both.
I think it's a shift.
It's a shift.
It's a shift, and the reason being is because
we're the only ones having babies.
Well, yeah, but based on that, right? So that's where as a politician or as a podcast, a unit, right? You see that stat and you're like, okay, I got to jump on it because why Latinos are listening to it more, right? So let me jump on the podcast.
real quick, go back to the chart that we had showing the different bar graphs. Remember the colors? So this is 2023. Look at the green, 18 to 29. 2023, these people were voting.
Yeah.
Right? So if 75% or even 50% of those 18 to 21 are listening to podcasts, and majority of them are right, that's why my thing is it's a shift.
Yeah.
It's not a growth in the demographic, rather than it's probably a shift, because the right wing is dominating the narrative, as the leftist claims. And going with that, you have these young people that are now going to go out to vote, and they're going to go out and vote for what makes sense and what's authentic.
Right.
And what's authentic? The raw talk, baby.
Right.
Trump.
So, and another, I just want to throw that out there. Another reason why they think Michelle's creating a podcast, it might be because of her divorce. Apparently, she might divorce Barack Obama.
Is that a real thing?
So it's funny because they're thinking.
Did they talk about it on the pod?
Well, not yet. Well, that's what they're thinking. They might do what a Jada Pinkett Smith did.
The red table talk.
Is that even a thing still?
I don't know.
No, it already went away.
Well, that's the so one. It's the entanglement fucking.
Episode
that she
up.
brought up.
Who was the artist she was with?
Hilarious. It's some
August.
Oh yeah, that was
little
hilarious.
bitch.
And Will Smith had to, he was shamed because of that
Yeah.
shit. But that's going back to the barrier of entry. A lot of podcasts can start, right? Anybody can start a podcast, but not everyone can make it.
Yes.
Right?
That's right. Because what is the real value? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're looking at statistics. We're bringing up stats to you guys, okay? And so another thing to add to the whole Hispanic and talking about majority shift and all that stuff that you're bringing up is where is this data coming from? Well, apparently at Radio Inc.'s Hispanic Radio Conference of 2024, the Latino podcast boom was dissected even further. Cecilia Jadobitz, VP Sales Director of Nielsen National Audio Services, highlighted that 27.3% of Hispanics regularly listen to podcasts, with the largest age between groups between 25 and 44. Guess what? We're in that age group.
I'm there.
We're all there. Hispanic podcast listeners tend to be younger than the overall podcast audience, and language preferences are split, meaning 60% listening in English and 40% in Spanish. Okay, and then social media, particularly Instagram, TikTok, and WhatsApp, play a major role in podcast discovery.
Definitely
43.1%. Yeah, with Hispanics, if you guys don't know, we're fucking big on WhatsApp.
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah.
You have WhatsApp?
What's up? Dennis, what's up? Hispanic podcast listeners are heavy radio listeners, showing a strong connection between radio and podcast.
Fucking facts for y'all. This is what we do, guys. This isn't none of the bullshit of, this is what I feel. This is what I think.
And look,
we think based off first principle, based off facts.
That's right.
That's how we do things here.
And you know what? Trump and his team did an amazing job taking advantage of this.
Yeah.
I cannot commend them enough by saying,
Barron
Trump? Dad, you gotta go on these podcasts. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
That is what caused that shift, Mike.
And really commending Trump for listening.
Yes. That's right.
Because the idea of can't teach an old dog new tricks.
What did the Democrat?
No, he fucking adapted.
What did the Democrat Party do? In my position, they were going after minority views, meaning let's go after transgender rights. Let's go after, I don't know. That was the biggest one that I saw. Management of gender. And again, Mike and I don't necessarily care what gender you are, guys. I don't care. We're not sexist. We don't care if you want to be into men. If you're a man into men, exactly. That's cool. Just, you know what? I mean,
just don't fucking make me accept your view.
Exactly.
I'm gonna have my opinion. I don't agree with it.
Exactly. We don't agree with it, but if that's your choice, go right ahead. But don't influence Mike's kids, my nephews, to be practicing those same kind of habits, those behavioral habits. No, that's not necessarily
you do that shit with my kid, I'm gonna come after your ass. I'm telling you right now.
Whoa.
You know what, bro? One thing you're gonna learn. Look, one thing you're gonna learn. One thing you're gonna learn. Is Mike is always saying questionable shit like that.
Right. He may or may not.
Intentional puns.
And he doesn't even do it on purpose though. It just comes out of him.
Coming after you. Hey. That's you.
I did that on purpose though. But
guys, fuck.
So but going back to these stats, I mean, it's not easy starting a podcast, right? Like I mentioned, anybody can create a podcast, but not everybody can make it
a successful
right?
one.
Yeah, exactly. So it takes a lot of time and effort. I mean, just watching you guys, set up, it literally took y'all
an hour
to set up. And,
right, you see
shoot.
it.
And I mean, the fact that you're on episode 53, if you were to say a week, episode a week, I mean, you're already over a year doing it.
And
so
Mike and I were talking about that, commenting on that. On average, I mean, we all got here maybe close to anywhere from 6:37.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What time is it right now? 9:48.
Yeah.
So how many hours has that been? On average, average 4 hours is what we spend per podcast.
Yeah.
So you multiply that by 52. Right? 53 now. That's how many hours that we put into each.
Over 200 hours.
Exactly. Right. And you know what? We've gotten major sponsors like Fiji. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking with you.
That's good. The delivery.
Yeah.
If you would have held it for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Bro. Slow down.
Slow down.
Oh fuck, man!
Shout out to Fiji. Don't look. Hey,
it's good water.
We're not against it, man.
Stay
You
hydrated.
want to send us some waters? Water?
Yeah.
You want to send us some waters? Some waters? We'll be glad to.
So it's some good stuff, but podcasting is a real influence, guys. If you want to jump on, just make sure you're contributing to society in a good manner.
So obviously, guys, that's everything that goes into podcasting.
Right.
I mean, the idea that you've got to be ready to say, what message am I going to give? Am I just going to be entertaining and take a more full send approach, which they're having good guests on, right? I mean, they've been really informative at that aspect too. Or am I going to take an all sort of informative approach and be guest based and have people on to basically be experts in their fields and talk about and inform the audience of what they want to learn about.
Right. And I think, for example, my takeaway is, just be very cognizant or aware of what you're listening to, right? Because based on what we're seeing, how more podcasts will start, coming up or being created in terms of politicians or future politicians, you have to be really aware of what you're going to be listening to.
Yeah.
So that way you don't get caught in the trap of wokeism or anything like that.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you not getting caught in the traps of anywhere.
Right.
You don't want to be caught in wokeism, and you don't want to be caught in far extreme right thoughts.
Right. Exactly.
You want to take, Mo and I have always said this. We're centrists. Like, we lean more right now because the right aspect is more in line with our views, but that doesn't mean we're always going to lean that way. I mean, it can be an aspect of eventually, oh, you know what? That might become a Democrat mindset. I don't know. We've said this to y'all before. I voted for Obama.
Right.
Before,
so
all
did I.
this. And even Elon Musk has said it before that he's voted for Obama. He's voted left majority of his life.
He let it know he was a Democrat for
but shit happens.
At the time of I think Bill Clinton's presidency, I mean, his views were conservative. They were seen as conservative views, but the tides have shifted.
Yes, they have.
Well, I mean, it's safe to say that there's an intimate connection, you get me, between the hosts and basically the listeners.
Right?
Yes.
It's all cultural, I guess, a cultural influence. You
Yep.
get me? So it's all about shaping perspectives, really honing real value, political discourse, education, community building. Everything's got to be intentional now. You can't just be putting shit out there just to put it out, because I think we're all seeing media change, and media is constantly changing.
Yeah.
Back then, short form content used to be how to get people to do what you wanted.
Right.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's got to be short, it's got to be concise, it's got to
get
be
their
quick,
interest,
quick,
yeah.
quick. But now, long form content has really taken over.
Yeah, it has, guys.
And it's again, that's where that intimacy comes from. It's what am I gonna get from this, and what real value does that play for me?
Right.
Yeah,
It's
pretty cool.
It's cool. I like it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about, like, for example, y'all's podcast, right? Like, it's who else can you bring, right? In terms of guests and stuff like that, right? I think y'all are open-minded enough and have the ability to, bring in people with different views, and you can ask them to share their views, and then argue for a little
tough.
bit. Yeah, I'm sure
it's tough, man.
And that's why that's what we're seeing, that a lot of them couldn't do it in terms of, like, for example, Democrats, right? They don't like to be put on the spot and to argue their
because
point.
like we've talked about before, Jonathan, and taking away from trial law,
right,
are 3 C's,
right,
which is completeness. What was the second one? Credibility,
and then consistency.
Yeah. So the idea, guys, is it complete, right? Is it thorough and full? And then is it consistent? Is that something that's taken through a lot of platforms or not, right? Is it consistent message? And then is it credible? So the idea of, is this something to where we can take it on face value because you've been doing this long enough to where we can accept what you're saying is true?
Right.
And even if not, when we do diligence, is it going to come out as you say it is? I don't know. That's probably the most important part, credibility.
Right.
But, I mean, guys, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yep. I didn't. You know what? I didn't know we were going to get into such a deep dive of podcasting. I think we wanted.
I think it was needed.
It was needed, though. What is our our foundation? What is our views on podcasts? Why we're doing what we're doing? I mean, we've talked about it through so many different episodes. Our main goal, our objective, is really just to get you guys to think a little bit more outside the box. See it from all angles, all perspectives. Why are people doing or pushing out certain agendas the way that they are? And really get you to question what's on traditional news as opposed to what you're seeing now on podcasts, and why people are now, and the stats are there, but I'm going to stop pulling stats on you guys, is that people are feeling that podcast episodes are a little bit more trustworthy now, as opposed to just, hey, let me just turn on CNN or Fox or ABC and just really get my source from there, because that's all an agenda now. So do your own due diligence, ladies and gents. That's the message.
Yeah.
And guys, my ultimate message to you, at the ending of the book of Ecclesiastes, I've never known how to freaking pronounce it, so excuse me. Fear God and keep his commandments. That's my message to you. I've got it tatted right on me in our original language, Hebrew or Arabic, whatever you want to say, but I believe it'd be Hebrew Arabic, with Jesus. And the idea is Christ is king first of all, and I want to make that very clear. But you fear God, and the idea is not fearing God in the sense of I'm scared of you. It's the fear of failure, the fear of not keeping the commandments, the fear of straying away from your moral obligations and your moral duties. It's not something you want to do. It's something that you have to do. When you start switching your mindset to that, to treating things as a duty, it creates discipline and it creates a consistency, and you want to keep that.
Amen, brother. Amen. Johnny, you got anything to say, or good?
No, yeah. Pleasure to be here.
All right, man. Well, thank you guys for tuning in for episode 53 of Stogies and Stuff. Keep stay tuned, ladies and gents. We got some more coming your way.
Keep stay tuned.
Boom.
Show me that break way because the devil's trying to break me down.